Chud. A Chude is a term historically applied in the early Russian annals to several Finnic peoples in the area of what is now Estonia, Karelia and Northwestern Russia. Perhaps the earliest written use of the term Chudes to describe proto-Estonians was California, 1100, by the monk Nestor, in the earliest Russian chronicles. According to Nestor, Yaroslav I the Wise invaded the country of the Chuds in 1030 and laid the foundations of Yuryev. Then Chud was used to describe other Baltic Finns called Volok, which is thought to refer to the Karelians. According to Old East Slavic chronicles, the Chudes were one of the founders of the Rus state. The northern Chudes were also a mythical people in folklore among northern Russians and the neighbors. In Komi mythology, the northern Chudes represent the mythic ancestors of the Komi people. Etymology. There are a number of hypotheses as to the origin of the term. Chude could be derived from the Slavic word tujo, which in turn is derived from the Gothic word meaning folk. Another hypothesis is that the term was derived from a transformation of the Finno-Ugric name for the wood grouse. Yet another hypothesis contends that it is derived from the Sami word shud, meaning an enemy or adversary. Identity. Chudes have traditionally been believed to belong to the group of Baltic Finnish peoples, though there have been some debate as to which specific group. After the first encounter with the Chudes, Slavic people tended to call other Finnic-speaking peoples Chudes, and thus became a collective name for the Finno-Ugric neighbors in Russian cultural tradition. Many writers contend that the Chudes were Vepsians. Phasma posits them in Karelia, while Smirnov suggests the Setos are descendants of the Chudes. In recent research on toponymy of the Luga and Volkhov river catchment areas, Finnish Fenugrast Pauli Rakkonen has come to the conclusion that the language spoken in the area has been Finnic only in the vicinity of the southern coasts of Lake Ladoga and the Gulf of Finland, but more upstream of the two rivers. The language, as based on the evidence of hydronyms in the area, has represented other Finno-Ugric languages than Finnic. However, the Zavoloshka Chudes in the White Sea catchment area seem to have spoken Finnic languages based on the evidence of substrate toponymy in northern Russia carried out recently by Finnish Fenugrast Jan Saarakivi. Chudes in Chronicles. The Russian primary chronicle describes Chudes as co-founders of the Rus Khaganate state along with Kriviks, Veps, Hillmen Slavs and Vikings. In other ancient East Slavic chronicles, the term Chudes refers to several Finnic tribes, proto-Estonian groups in particular. In 1030, Prince Yaroslav the Wise of Kiev won a military campaign against the Chuds and established a fort in Yuryev. Kievan rulers then collected tribute from the Chudes of the surrounding ancient Estonian county of Ugania, possibly until 1061, when, according to chronicles, Yuryev was burned down by another tribe of Chudes, Supolitsa. Most of the raids against Chudes described in ancient Russian chronicles occur in present-day Estonia. The border lake between Estonia and Russia is still called Chudskoy in Russian. However, many ancient references to Chudes talk of peoples very far from Estonia, like Zavoloshka Chudes between Mordovians and Comus. Chudes in folklore. In Russian folk legends, the Chudes were described as exalted and beautiful. One characteristic of the Chudes was white-eyed, which means lightly colored eyes. Sorrowful Russian folk songs reminisce about the destruction of the Chudes when the Slavs were occupying the territories. When a Chude township was attacked, Chude women made themselves drown into the river with the jewels and children, in order not to be subjected to robbery or spoiling. In the chronicles which narrate about the founding of Russia, the Chudes are mentioned as one of the founder races, with the Slav and the Varyags. Folk etymology derives the word from Old East Slavic language, or alternatively from Chudny, wonderful, miraculous, excellent, attractive. Chudes are traditional generic villains in some Sami legends, as well as in the Sami language movie Pathfinder from 1987, which is loosely based on such legends. Other sources suggest that ancient Chuds spoke a Finnic language similar to the Veps language, use of term in historical times. Later, the word Chudes was more often used for more Eastern Finnic peoples, Veps and Votes in particular, while some derivatives of Chud like Chakna or Chakonits were applied to more Western Finns and Estonians. Following the Russian conquests of Finland 1714 to 1809, and increasing contacts between Finns and St. Petersburg, Finns perceived the word Chud to be disparaging and hinting at the serfdom that the Russians were believed to find fit for the Finns. However, as a disparaging word, it was rather Chakna that was applied also to Finns as late as during the Winter War, 1939–1940, between the Soviet Union and Finland. In present-day Russian vernacular, the word Chakna is often used to denote Veps. The name Chudes has been used for Veps people also by some anthropologists. In the mytho-poetical tradition of the Komi, the word Chud can also designate Komi heroes and heathens, old believers, another people different from the Komi, or robbers. The latter two are the typical legends in Sami folklore. In fact, the legends about Chudes cover a large area in northern Europe from Scandinavia to the Urals, bounded by Lake Ladoga in the south, the northern and eastern districts of the Vologda province, and passing by the Kiev region, further into Komi Permyak okrug. It has from this area spread to Trans-Ural region through mediation of migrants from European north. Chude has become a swear word in the Arkhangelsk region. As late as 1920, people of that region used legends of the Chudes to scare small naughty children.